What is good, gents? How y'all feeling? One Piece. That is probably the number one series on this channel as of right now. We talk a lot about One Piece. I mean, One Piece is the biggest series of all time in terms of anime and manga. It's one of the greatest pieces of fiction of all time. So we decided to bring back One Piece, breakdown, live reactions, chapter reviews. We'll only reserve this for Sundays. It'll start picking up steam, and the more and more we do it, probably this is our first time starting it. We only subtly hinted towards it last podcast episode. But you got myself, you got Miles. Other captains can come in if they feel like it. And we're just going to talk about the recent chapter, One Piece chapter 1137. Me and Miles already read it. But before we get into it, Miles, how you feeling about the chapter?
So it's so weird, right? Because Oda's doing this thing where he has these chapters. The first half is like lore dump. We're exploring Elbaf. We're learning on the side of Luffy and the Straw Hats. Then you flip the Loki side, and there's always some fucking chaos and there's madness happening. And then, ooh, that man that we got to see at the end, that man. Oda's cooking. I like how he's pacing the story and moving things along very, very fast. He's not really taking his time. He's really like, okay, hint, hint, reveal. Hint, hint, reveal. He's not really trying to drag it out and make us wonder. This was a pretty good chapter. It was decent. It was cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was a really good chapter. And I mean, I made the title what it was for a reason. Like, is Loki really evil? Now there's a question on Loki's character, on who he was. The reveal of certain characters too was kind of crazy. And I was trying to I forgot to say this last time we talked about that girl's devil fruit, the arrow. I was like, what did it remind me of? I finally figured it out. Medusa from Soul Eater.
Hmm.
That's what it reminded, because of the arrow stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it exactly works the same, but it gave me like the same type of properties on how she's using it, with the arrow stuff, and it's interesting. A lot of interesting things happening. I'm locked in to see how they kind of plan it out. But let's dive right into One Piece chapter 1137. Of course, there's going to be spoilers, so if you haven't caught up to One Piece manga, then I mean, it is what it is, right? So it kind of starts out with the chapter name right off rip, introducing Shamrock, giving us the name. Honestly, when you first see it, you had no idea, like, who the hell is Shamrock? Like,
Yeah. It's one of those things where you get the hindsight after reading it, but it's like, oh, damn, he's literally telling us, like, you're going to know who this is.
yeah, Shamrock. Probably should, because of its Odo, probably have to look up the definition of Shamrock, how all of that feels. Maybe it's a different, maybe Shanks actually means something in relation to it. We'll probably dive into that. But we also got the cover page that's been happening in the background for a while with the hideout of, who is it? What's his name again?
Who's who? Yep.
Who?
It looks
And
like who's still alive and kicking. Jinbei hasn't discouraged him, at any level. He has his little own cabal of like former beast pirates, and they're like kidnapping the children. Um, so this cover story is a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be Yamato roaming around Wano and it just be peaceful and her learning their ways, but it actually does seem like there's still some lingering conflict from that war with the beast pirates. So that's pretty cool to see.
yeah, I agree. Who's the guy who knew the powers, right?
He had the Rokoshiki, and then he had a cat devil fruit. He was like a cat human.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're kind of continuing this. I mean, if it came down to a straight out fight, I mean, Yamato's washing who's who in a
Bad.
straight out fight. So I'm very curious to see what they're about to find out, and if this is going to be anything other than like, okay, we found out who the boss is, and then we're just going to beat them all up. So we'll see. Shout out Yamato, getting a little character work behind the scenes, of course. But right off rip, we got some interesting kind of lore dump. Like, they invaded the castle, and we get to see like there was a huge battle, and they're kind of building everything up. Like, Loki killed all these people, and all these giants died, and all that stuff. And it was a crazy, crazy battle. And I feel like they're trying to set us up to subvert our expectations with what actually happened here. because they're making it they're kind of doing they're making it very they're making it seem one way, and with One Piece it's always like there's more to the story.
Sure.
But right now I don't know, I'm starting to lean into the camp based off how they're kind of building up Loki as like this super villain. I'm not gonna lie, he's making I'm leaning into that he's not as bad as we think.
Uh, and it's weird, right? Because even if he is as bad as we think, I think that the way that the events happened, Oda's not really being very forthcoming. He plays with a lot of misdirection, so I think it could have been more of a disagreement. We're learning a lot of how these giants, some were in favor of the war, some were in favor of becoming more peaceful, like King Harold. Harold had his followers, Loki had his followers. It could have been a disagreement over that. Maybe Harold trying to find peace was a lot more sinister than we thought. He could have been maybe aligned with the world government, something along the nature of that. And Loki didn't disagree and he had to do what he had to be done, while not minding to appear as the villain in the situation. I just think there's a lot more ways to look at this than people are kind of giving credit for it. And just simply putting it as Loki was evil, Loki did bad, I think it's kind of it cheapens the story. I do think Loki's evil. I'm 100% in the evil camp, but evil people can make good decisions or decisions that they believe are right. So I'm not necessarily mad at that. But yeah, like Riddell said, we're in this Grandois castle. It's been vacated for about 14 years. And I want to do this whenever we do this series. Whenever we get specific timelines, I want to share what also happened at the same time as that timeline. So, 14 years ago in the One Piece world, Virgo from Doflamingo's crew first moves over to G5 and starts his double agent mission as a soldier in the Marines and as a pirate in the Doflamingo Pirates or the Don Quixote Pirates. Beppo slips off of Zoe when trying to find his brother, so that's when he first leaves Zoe. Tom from Water 7 completes the Puffing Tom, and that's when the train from Water 7 to Ennie's lobby is first made. And then throw back all the way to the beginning of One Piece, that cute little dog that was guarding the shop. Cho was born. Those are all of the events that happened 14 years ago. So it's always interesting to see in this big of a world. In one place, we have Loki kills his dad. In another place, cute puppy was born. Always cool to see.
Yeah, I wonder if Oda really pays. I feel like he does because Oda takes such particular care. And of course, sometimes when you're writing the story, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna kind of change things, but still make it work out. Sometimes you gotta be very flexible. Which reminds me, with Lonnie's news that the editor from JJK and Black Clover is apparently editing One Piece. Hopefully he realized that that's Oda. I'm gonna let him cook, and I'm not gonna do some weird stuff. That's what I'm hoping.
Please keep your hands off. Edit. Do your job as an editor. You're not the author. We don't need you fixing anything. Pointers, tips. No executive decisions, please.
Facts. Like I don't know. Like a lot of people feel a lot of different types of way for like Black Clover and Jujutsu Kaisen. I personally thought Black Clover is kind of a not as great anymore compared to like how it was. But and JJK, I'm not the biggest fan of the final arc, but yeah, that's we don't need it to get ruined. Not One Piece of all things, right?
For sure.
Um, but okay, we got to see the father of Loki, and again, this is Oda doing something interesting here, potentially subverting our expectation because he ain't gonna tell me this dude don't look evil as hell. He don't look like a good person. He got the evil mustache and he got the scar, the angry look. I'm like, wait, Oda, what are you trying to tell me with this guy's look right now? Because he don't look like this peaceful warrior like everybody's saying that he was. I'm just saying.
He looks like a menacing Dr. Eggman. That was what I first thought when I saw him. I'm like, yo, this is literally Dr. Eggman ripped straight from Sonic. The scars make him look really, really badass. And we learn that those scars were basically him renouncing his ancient blood. Apparently, all of the ancient giants were heavily into war, heavily war influenced. And if you've been reading along with these chapters, you'd notice everybody's peaceful. They're studying, they're in the library, they're playing, they're cooking. The kids don't like being hurt. Um, it's really a bygone age, whereas the rest of the world thinks these are still savage warriors. King Harold's legacy of wanting to renounce that clearly lives on. They're walking through this battlefield, they see his portrait, and again, and I stated this on our episode on Tuesdays, check us out. Stated this on our live stream. Once again, Loki's being tied to Ja Rule. We also learned last week that King Harold's sword is in Ja Rule's head. Um, like I said earlier, I think we're leaning towards a coup. Ja Rule, another ancient, one of the oldest giants around, he lived during that war era. I could see him wanting to, have that around, keep the war. He could have maybe enticed Loki with the devil fruit. It's your birthright. You deserve it. Whatever the case may be. And they aligned together and kind of made this all happen. How weird is it that this massacre happens in this castle and nobody investigates it? They just seal it off. Somebody with a lot of status and power would have to be able to make that happen. I think it's pretty reasonable to say that Ja Rule can maybe do that.
I can see that. There definitely seems a lot more politics, and there's actually some other aspect, like some other characters and some other lore that they revealed regarding the Giants that was very unexpected. We'll talk about in a second. That is much deeper, because oftentimes, when you think of like how people portray history, people say it all the time. The history is shaped by the victors, right? It's very possible to me that this situation between Ja Rule, Loki, and Harold is completely misperceived on what actually was going on between these factions.
Sure.
And it could be much deeper in terms of like what they were doing, who was in the right, who was in the wrong, all that type of stuff. I mean, you got a ton of people thinking celestial dragons are good people. So it's like, it's completely warped. And shout out Miguel pulled in. He said the only thing I want to see from that editor is he pushing Oda to kill more characters.
It's hard, man. It depends on what characters you want to die. I know a lot of people are Camp Straw Hats. One of them needs to die. That is not going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't see that ever happening. But maybe some side characters can go. But I definitely agree with you. I thought it was definitely cheap, basically having Vegapunk live on through two of them. And then we find out that he has a body that can kind of like be I'm trying to look for the word. I'm going to just say reinvigorated for now. They can bring life back to the original Stella body. That's cheap as fuck. We had this big lore dump arc. You had him go out with a bang. Let him go out with a bang. But I don't know. Oda, I'm pretty sure his current editors are pretty much telling him this character's popular, you can't kill him. This character's popular, you can't kill him. Keep him around. And it's kind of, in some ways, cheapening the story. But I'm more or less with you, Miguel. He needs to kill somebody. Somebody got to die.
Yeah, if bringing back the old version of Vegapunk and bringing back Kuma, I think would be wild. I think I wouldn't like it. I'm being very clear. I wouldn't like it at all. It does cheapen their death, considering how impactful it was. I will give credit though, like Whitebeard dying, sure, old age, fine. I would have never expected meeting Ace that he was going to die in the story so quickly.
And that's what made it so great, because you don't think he's going to die for sure.
And he's the son of Gold Roger of all people, and he's the one. And he's the son of Gold Roger and Whitebeard. Of any side character you could ever think of that would forever live to the end of the story, Ace would be number one on the list. So I'll give Oda credit for that. But yeah, he can't cop out, especially in these end lines. Like you gotta make some moves. But continuing with the chapter, right? So the reason, like I was talking about, like everything could be misperceived is because we're getting more lore. One, apparently Hydrogen is Loki's brother. I didn't expect that. I didn't think they were going to be brothers. I didn't expect him to be such an important character. Let me be very clear. I thought he was going to be a normal side character giant, but nah, he's one of them ones. Okay. And then also there's a lot of racism, right? Yeah, there's a lot of racism within the Giants, as they talked about, which, could definitely lead into conflict if people aren't getting treated right. So major lore dump for the Giants and how they do things. And this could actually mean a lot for Big Mom too, as well. Maybe she's one of the other types of giants, not an Elbaf giant. So what do you think?
Yeah, Oda's really opening the world here. I had no idea there were other giants from different places, right? I thought to be a giant, you had to come from Elbaf or start there. So it's kind of interesting to see that there's giants that are born in different places and they're racist towards them. You're not from Elbaf, you can't have any status, you can't have any standing. We learned that Hadradin's mother, um, since she's from a different place, she wasn't eligible to be the queen. So when Loki's mom came away X amount of years later, she was actually able to be part of the queendom, and rise to ascend the throne. But that's not why Hadradin's mad, which is kind of odd to me. It seems like he's just mad that his father got killed by Loki. Nothing more, nothing less. It seems like he had a great deal of respect for his father, and it kind of wedged in between him and Loki. But I'm with you, Riddell. Meeting him on Dressrosa, I thought, hey, this is just going to be our version of having the Giants on our fleet. Mission accomplished. We're probably not going to see this guy ever again, right? But now to kind of have his role elevated, we might have to speak to him a lot more as the crew to figure out, what exactly happened, because clearly he was present or he's very knowledgeable. So yeah, as a character I didn't see developing to be so important, but it looks like he's going to be one of them ones.
Yeah. Like thinking about it, actually, like Luffy by chance, both situations by chance. By chance meets Momonosuke, the son of the Shogun, and by chance meets Hadrian, the son of the king of the Elbaf. So hey, Luffy, I mean, he's the main character for a reason. He just be meeting everybody, inspiring everybody. Shout out that boy, bro. Inspiring princes left, right, and center. You met BB by chance too.
He's more inspirational than their father. That's insane.
Luffy really him, bro. Luffy really him. But this is kind of crazy. Do we think there has to be a moment where it's like, all right, the best way I'm gonna phrase it. How do we think the interaction between Harujin and Loki will work out?
Their interaction, I think, writings on the wall is going to be very sour. What I want to focus on is because Luffy's gonna free Loki. If
Yeah.
if the people at the end of this chapter don't do it, Luffy's 100% gonna do it. I want to see how Hadradin reacts to Luffy doing that. Do they fight? Is there a conflict? Because it's like, yo, you saved me on Dressrosa. We're allies. We're cool and all. But bro, you literally freed the man that tried to destroy my country and kill my father. Uh, it's not gonna rock like that.
Yeah. Um, I can see that friction too. I'm trying to remember, like when they were describing everything on like how terrible Loki was Harujin the one saying all that stuff, or was it someone else?
I believe I don't remember her name because they've introduced a lot of giants, but it's the mother of Colin. I think her name is Ripley. I think it was her describing it.
Okay. Because I'm trying to remember if he added his 2 cents. Shout out you, Miguel, in the chat to pulled in. He said Big Mom's conferred to be human, so human and giant. Really? Did that happen? I don't remember that. And we met Saul for the first time. He told Robin he didn't came from Albath.
So I know Big Mom lived on Elbaf, and that was pre her being an orphan. But she was above average size for a human and a giant. I think they said. Uh, I think her lineage will be something to explore because, like I said, I think Kaido's gone. I don't think she's gone. I think you feel the same sentiment as well. So we're definitely. I think we're gonna get more Big Mom, and we're gonna really understand who and what she is pre Mother Caramel and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, I'm looking at this. Larger bone belong to the warriors with the blood of the ancient giants. Oh, that's another part. Ancient giants had horns,
Yep.
which was another interesting part about this entire thing. About these ancient giants had horns, and then they're actually saying heralds had horns as well, right?
Yeah, he ripped them off to kind of show his resolve to peace.
So I mean, they have to be related to what's his name, Ors, right?
I would assume so.
Because that's
Like
what makes sense
Descended.
to me.
Yeah. Ors Jr., the whole
Oh, he actually
gang.
said it right here. Is it like Ors? I read it. I didn't even peep this when he said this quote right here. Is he like ores? That gives another layer to like. There's giants, then there's the ores type of giants. Why do we think they kind of change?
Evolution works like that, man. But no, I don't know. I think in any race of people or thing, when you grow up fighting, your body kind of adapts to fighting. And I'm assuming before King Harold, more giants aligned towards peace anyway. They kind of isolated their country similar to Wano almost. After all of those years, the body's just like, from a scientific aspect, the body's like, hey, we don't need these horns anymore. We're not brawling. I'm not headbutting anybody. We're good on these for now. You don't have to rip them off like Harold did. They're just not going to grow in. Um, but I don't know. It's weird to see because Ors was a demon. Even these inferior versions of Ors, like the one that we saw on Thriller Bark or the one at Marineford or Little Ors Junior, they're fucking tanky as hell. They don't take any damage. Indomitable willpower. So I want to see how much of that translates to some of these giants we still have left.
I'm with you. I think that'll be very interesting to see as well. Um, and that just reminds me. That reminds me of the moment where the part of Luffy got transported into ores, and then it was like Luffy versus Luffy for a kind of a second. That was pretty hilarious. Shout out One Piece for bringing a lot of this lore kind of full circle. But all right, let's talk about the next part. So that was like a lot of lore about the giants, Harold, them related to like the ores type, them hydrogen and Loki being brothers, a big battle. We got to see what King Harold looks like. So very interesting lore and history of the giants. And
Before
go
we
for it.
skip forward, one more thing that I feel is a little important. We get to learn what Hazardin's dream is. So after
Oh,
establishing all of
right.
that prejudice within the giant nation, Zoro asked Road, mind you, I want to throw this caveat in here. I'm so glad Zoro's with Luffy. Because outside of fighting and eating meat, uh, Luffy wouldn't be asking any of the questions we need asked. And it seems like Zoro's taking all of this in. He's internalizing it, and he's always asking a question that's relative to the situation. So he asked Road, if y'all are racist towards giants not born on Elbaf, why are you under Hadradine on the new giant pirates? Make it make sense for me. And Loki's like, excuse me. Hadradine's like, look, we were childhood friends. When I was getting bullied, he basically stepped up. He would save me from all the bullies. He would kind of encourage me to keep studying and all of those things. And Hadradine's dream, very similar to a Luffy, eerily similar to a Big Mom. He wants to unite all of the races of all of the giant culture under one banner and have them work together. Pretty lofty dream. Not on a Luffy level, but sky's the limit for that. We know Big Mom wanted to unite all races of people, so it's kind of like a pipe dream version of that. But we got some heavy goals on his shoulder, man. Loki wants to destroy it all, and Hadradine wants to unify it all.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that back up. And shout out Zoro, man. He's really locked in his role as vice captain, keeping everything on the narrow, pushing things straight. Because if he wasn't here, Luffy would just be doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
It would get crazy. Um, but that's interesting. That also plays to the part again. Luffy is inspiring like the next group of leaders, like Momonosuke, Harujin. I think we can kind of like allude to like him being eventually the leader of all the giants. He went from a nobody to eventually be the leader of the giants. I could definitely see that happen now. That's what Oda seems to like he's setting up right now. Him or Loki. If one of them dies, it's possible that Loki takes over. You never know. Then of course we got Vivi, who's I think her role is about to be huge. Unexpectedly, her role is going to be huge. So Luffy's out here just inspiring the next crop of leaders to follow a dream. And it actually makes sense that a lot of them line with Luffy because they probably all gave up on their dreams. And then Luffy was the only one who's like, I'm going to keep on going and I'm going to keep on pushing to become king of the pirates. It just cements Luffy's greatness. I'm not going to lie. It 100% does. It also cements that a lot of Big Mom, we didn't really know why she was kind of like, obviously she was a bad person because of the stuff she was doing, the way she would treat her kids sometimes, the way her obviously her crazy hunger fits will be kind of insane.
Was she a bad person?
I think okay.
I think Big Mom is a victim. I'm okay. We Big Mom is never really discussed like that in One Piece communities outside of her being strong and all that stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm in the camp. I am a Big Mom capper. I think she is a victim, and all she needed was people, one, to keep her hunger under control, but people that could accept her for who she was, understand her, and I think she wouldn't turn out how she turned out. That's actually the reason why she started building her own family, right? Everywhere she went, she couldn't really trust anybody. They would turn on her. So what better than to make my crew of my own children, right? I would hope my kids don't turn on me. And it seems for the most part, that's true. Other than Lola and Loki, that situation didn't go down how it was supposed to. But everybody else, her kids fall in line. They understand. They listen. But I think along the years as you're growing up, especially Big Mom being on C, uh, she had the Mother Caramel stuff where she did all that stuff. Then she found out Mother Caramel was going to sell her. That didn't go well. She kind of had to keep the portrait as a linchpin to kind of reverse her memory, so to speak, right? She was kicked out of Elbaf because she destroyed the village, right? She was on the Rocks Pirates, bloodthirsty crew, kill or be killed, only the strong remain, right? So we're getting all of these turns, and a kid that maybe just needed to be nurtured never had the opportunity to see that, and then she grows up with that reinforced, and that's all she knows as well, right? So she's mean to her kids, she's mean to all the places that are under her banner, all of that stuff, just because she simply doesn't know any better. But you get moments like her when her memory's wiped, and we see how she behaves with Otama. That kind of solidified my hope that she does have the capabilities of being not like a good person, a caring person. It just needs to be people need to reach out and get it from her and nurture it. They just can't write her off as this big bad scary Yonko, even though she is. But yeah, that's my Big Mom cappery. I love Big Mom.
There is something there because I've been thinking for a while too that like Big Mom, there's more to Big Mom than like Misai compared to like Kaido. Like Kaido just did objectively terrible things, like with the smile fruit and all that
He
stuff.
knew too. He didn't care.
Yeah, like using people for experiments. Like Kaido did not care. He was doing some crazy stuff, and you would assume like he would have some level of honor, but sometimes it's like, you know what, that was against what I wanted, but my ambition means more, so I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. So Kaido is just like objectively a bad person, and there's probably layers to Kaido too, which I wonder if we'll ever wait. You think Kaido is an ancient giant?
His lineage is so weird.
Because he
could be. He could be. Some people side with the Oni thing. He's like a Oni demon, but I don't know.
There's no like the only thing is fine in terms of like if you take a step out of the One Piece world, but based off what we know about One Piece now, he just might be an ancient giant. Now that we know ancient giants had horns.
He's just from a different country. Yeah, could be.
Just tangent. I just thought of like I was thinking about Kaido, but that's very interesting. That's very. I wonder if I still feel like Kaido can't be dead. I don't know. I just can't. I can't wrap my brain around Kaido just being dead right now. But all right, back to the normal conversation. So, yeah, I'm with you with Big Mom. I do think there's more layers to her, and like a lot of the times when it comes down to her ambition, of course, she's at the end of the day, she's a pirate. She's doing stuff for her family. She's trying to accomplish the goal. And now we're probably seeing where the origins of the goal is. It might come from Elbaf now that we see Hydrogen having similar goals in terms of uniting all the giant kind, and also knowing that there's racism amongst the giants that more than likely, I'm guessing Big Mom was very much discriminated against, and she killed the hero. You know what I'm saying? Definitely doesn't bode well for her. And she was young, she was manipulated, she wasn't treated right, and then she had this crazy amount of power that nobody could help her control. There is stuff there, and I do think her family does care about her. But then obviously, like if you get on her wrong side or if you betray her, she's an absolute demon. She was murky. Yeah. Big Mom is interesting. Interesting character. And I'm still I think we're all in the camp that Big Mom needs to return to the story. Like this arc requires Big Mom to return to the story. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Um, it's also crazy now thinking about it. Compared to all the Yonko, other than like Shanks, Big Mom is quite reoccurring. Like she had a whole cake, then she showed up in Wano, and I feel like she's gonna show up here too.
Yeah, she's always relevant. She was on Fishman Island. That's when Luffy first talks to her. She's always relevant. She's always around. And then at least, well, the reason, because you said earlier, I think Kaido's dead and not Big Mom. Kaido actually took a fucking monstrous attack, right? Whereas Kid and I almost said Killer. Kid and Law beat her, but it wasn't because of like a sustained damage, knock her out, kill her. They basically ringed out her. We're playing Dragon Ball Sparkle and Zero. We're on a tournament arena. They knocked her out the ring. Uh, so it's not like she took crazy damage. That's why I could see her coming back. Whereas Kaido, he sees his life flash before his eyes. He gets the absolute fist of God coming across his head. I think he's done. But Big Mom, I think she has a lot of potential to just wake up, be like, oh damn, those brats beat me. Or it could be another amnesia thing. She wakes up and she doesn't remember what happened, and we get to rebuild Big Mom from scratch. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the her coming back with amnesia. I'm not gonna lie. Once is good enough for me. I don't need it to happen a second time. But I can see a temporary alliance eventually because Pudding was captured by Blackbeard.
Sure.
So I can definitely see that happening. All right.
Does she care?
Who?
Over under Big Mom carrying her daughter got kidnapped.
Over. Oh, so there's two ways I think about it. Over under, does she care like because she's family? I don't know. Skeptical. I feel like probably. Maybe. Over under, she cares because she's a useful tool to find the One Piece. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
So all right. So the other phase, the other part of this chapter was we got to see our boy Loki, and we got to see the God Knights, and they're beating the living crap out of Loki right now, and killing all his animals.
Yeah, PETA would be ashamed. They're euthanizing all of the animals, and they're beating that living, like they're beating the dog shit out Loki. They got him chained up, sea stone, and they're just letting him have it. But they want to recruit him, so they're not going to kill him. They're going to beat him within the edge of his life. It looks like we see Gunko on that left panel, and she's looking 50 feet tall here. Her fruit is confusing me. I'm not really understanding what exactly it does. Because I've never heard of arrows enlarging anything, right? So she's able to enlarge different parts of her body, whether it's her hands, her feet, whatever the case may be. It also amplifies the power as well. And she's basically going on about, listen, it's not every day that you can be ascended into godhood, right? We don't offer this opportunity to everyone. It's a 1 in a million chance. And we're offering you that miracle now, bro. I don't want to keep beating on you. So join up. And Loki's standing 10 toes. And he's not joining up. He's taking all of the beating. Everything they have for him, he's just taking it. How do you feel about Gunko and her fruit?
Yeah, I was kind of getting the same thought. Like she's using it in a lot of different variety of ways. Making herself bigger. I mean, best way I could put it, like I said, it's kind of like Medusa, where she can kind of use it a lot of different type of ways. Like it's just arrows. It's like the best way I could put it. I feel like it's not about the arrow itself, but the arrow is just kind of like an object that she can just utilize. Mm-hmm. So that's the best way I can think about it. So it's just an object she can utilize amongst a fight, and that object can be kind of like Mochi Mochi, where he can use a Mochi Mochi in a lot of different ways. I'm guessing her arrows can be used in a lot of different ways as well. I wonder if it's going to have any extra properties behind, like being like physical objects she can use to fight with. Sure. Or is there going to be another aspect where it's like it can force people to move in certain directions too? Because that would remind me of like That one demon in Demon Slayer who used his arrows to make people move
Yeah, this
certain
hand.
directions. So we will see potentially. I'm unsure. I feel like it might because you see like right here. You see in these panels the arrow moving up when he punches up, the arrow moving to the right when he's looking right. Maybe there is something there. I'm unsure.
Because it
But
looks like
yeah,
her hand got bigger. And then before this, actually, we get the confirmation that Loki has future sight. He can indeed see the future. That's one aspect of his skill set we see. And what he says is that how he words it when he sees these attacks, he says, "You're going to use these arrows to basically accelerate your foot and kick me in my face," right? So it seems like whatever path those arrows takes, her body moves linearly along that path at an increased speed while also being enlarged. And how she describes it, she says, "My arrows are the confirmed path of my very future," right? Um, which could just be a play on words for her saying, I mean to hurt you, or it could be a little bit of insight into how it all works. Because she says that in response to Loki seeing the moves with his future sight. So maybe she can influence it, change it. She can fuck with your future sight, or maybe it was just a declaration of warning. Um, Oda does this all the time. We're not going to know until we know. Um, but I think it's cool to see Loki can see the future at least. I was kind of worried that he would just be some scrub with a good devil fruit, but it's good to see that his hockey is indeed it's refined. He has some refined hockey.
yeah, that's good to see. Makes him very prevalent in terms of the power scalers out there. It's kind of crazy that people initially thought she was Tashigi for some reason. I'm like,
That's crazy.
I didn't, I didn't even connect it even in the slightest. Maybe
Riddell.
just to have Zoro fight someone, like I guess.
What made me mad, Riddell, is they were pointing at the eyes. They're like, look at the eyes. I'm like, bitch, those aren't even the same color. Like, what am I supposed to see looking at their eyes? They don't look alike.
Yeah, it was weird. I just thought she was part of like the Shanks clan. It's possible she's not though. She just another individual who just joined the God Knights in general. Well, we still have yet to get like a big lore dump on who exactly the God Knights are. But you continue on. She's beating the crap out of Loki. Loki standing 10 toes. Animals getting abused left, right, and center in this chapter. It's not looking good. They're trying to make him budge. They're trying to make him give. And he's still saying no. Loki just refuses to join the squad, bro. And then we get the reveal of that man, Fergalan Shamrock. That design is tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he got the little French Victorian garb going. He got his hair back in a knot. He looks fucking sick, man. It's Shanks, man. It's just Shanks with a different outfit. He looks sick. Um, the panel in the top right, compared to Shanks, you look at Shanks' eyes, especially in some of those key moments, you see so much like heaviness and resolve. His eyes just seem really light to me. He doesn't really seem as interested or as invested in any of this. He's just here to do a job and get going. All of this seems beneath him. That's what I'm looking for. This is all beneath him. He's not even beating on Loki. He hasn't really said much of anything at all. He's just here.
Yeah, he's here. He seems pretty confident in his skills. He's not even doing anything. Gonka's the one doing everything here. It would be interesting to see. It would have been interesting to see him potentially try to use like Conqueror Saki to try to make him submit or something like that. Because I feel like that's something Shanks would have tried to do in a situation similar. But yeah, I'm kind of locked in. Son of Saint Garland. I mean, this all just like it confirmed it last week. We already kind of confirmed the Shanks twin theory last week, but now we're 100% here with no shadow of doubt that not only is this Shanks's twin, or it could or clone. I'm just putting that out there. I'm just putting it out there. It could be a clone. Not only that, Shanks's twin or clone. but also Ferguland is Shanks' dad. So we come full circle for all the theories that have been put out there since we got that very, very first panel. The Shanks twin theories here. What was that chapter again? I'm gonna look. I'm
Oh,
gonna bring that
907.
up. Okay, we're finally here,
Yeah, I
man.
don't know how to feel. Because, excuse me, twin seems too easy, man. Is it really that easy? And then Shanks has never mentioned this? I'm hard pressed to believe that no one in the world knows that there's another Shanks. It it just doesn't make sense to me.
To be fair, I feel like the entire world doesn't know the God Knights exist.
No, but they do though.
They do,
Because because Garling was on God Valley as a God Knight protecting the Celestials. He was
but
a
I feel
part of
like
the
that. I feel like
he was a
only the
part of the fighting.
Celestials. I feel like only Celestials know about God Knights.
I, maybe the actual term of the faction, but the existence of highly competent celestial dragon fighters is definitely known to some pirate crews. At least Whitebeard's pirate crew. So we'd have to say, oh no, because it was rocks. Whitebeard dead, unfortunately, but Big Mom, Shiki, all of them, Roger, Rayleigh, all of them, they know of the existence of Garling. And when it was shown to us in Kuma's flashback, Garling was a God's Knight at that time, and
And
he was specifically appointed there to protect their games that were going on that island. And it's implied he fought Whitebeard. It's implied.
yeah, we might need to go back to that panel when Shanks and Whitebeard spoke. I feel like there's probably a hint there. Now thinking about it, but we'll try. I'm trying to pull up the 907, but my computer's being a little slow. I feel like, I mean, if all the top brass know,
Mm-hmm.
then I think it's fine as long as like there's subtle hints, but there's no reason for them to say anything to anybody necessarily.
What you mean?
Like, who are they gonna tell?
Uh, Listen, okay. There has to be some point where we as pirates, it has to be bigger than us, right? So it's
Okay.
like, yeah, I can fucking kill you, right? I can kill you. There's a whole host of people on the level of Whitebeard that are just out here. They just exist. That's really bad. That's bad.
Yeah, but also the Kaido probably thinks he can handle it. Big Mom probably thinks she can handle it. Whitebeard is just chilling. I don't. I mean, if we're being honest, ever since Gold Roger died, Whitebeard hasn't been ambitious at all. He's just been chilling the entire time.
Motivation.
The only one
No
who had
motivation.
like actual reason to do something was Shanks, and maybe he has been doing stuff the entire time. We actually have no idea what Shanks has been doing the entire time. He's just been here and there making issues. But I found the panel. There's a pirate I need to talk to you about. Now we revisit this conversation. We thought this was Shanks and we thought this was Blackbeard. Now, then we know this is not Shanks, this is Shamrock. And we need to discuss who is he talking about?
Loki.
Lo-
I think it was Loki.
Loki.
I think it was Loki, and we got to go with how the events of One Piece take place, right? So this conversation and where we're at now is roughly a month and 2 weeks in One Piece time, right? He could have said he could have spoke to them about Loki, the Gorosei, right? He had no leverage to do anything. They heard him. They said, sure, fine, but we don't want you to go out there, right? What happened in the One Piece world recently? His father was recently elevated to Gorosei status, and it almost seems like he's above the rest of the Gorosei after their failure. And Imu personally appointed him. I think with him being appointed, it gave Shamrock enough pull to for Garland to be like, all right, son, go check it out, right? If you think that you can reign in the warrior pirates and you think Loki's the key to it, go. If that's the pirate you think will do it, go. And now we're seeing Shamrock come out and do so. Also, and I just kind of peeped it too, Oda's playing right in our face because if he waited until Loki passed out in order for Shamrock to reveal himself. Because if Loki sees Shamrock, Loki has fought Shanks. Off rip, he's going to know that's not Shanks immediately.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see, is he going to put that hood back on when Loki kind of comes to? What's going to happen? Because if he finds out that this is Shanks, I don't know if there's a way to sound an alarm or do anything. I don't know. A lot's going on.
A lot is going on. I mean, we know what's next though. Luffy's gonna confront Shamrock. And that confrontation, there's no way Luffy fights Shamrock right now.
If he does, it's not going to go the way that a lot of the fans think it's going to go. I'll tell you that.
And what way is that?
Shamrock's going to handle Luffy.
Feel like he has to.
If he's anything like Shanks, if he's anything like his father, they're not going to play around. Like, this isn't Kaido where he's hungry for a fight. This isn't Big Mom where whenever she's in a fight, she just acts stupid. We mean business here. This is the Figureland family. We're not playing. We saw what Shanks did to Kid. He's not playing around. These guys aren't playing around. Luffy thinking it's a happy joy lucky, or if Gunko fucks off, Shamrock could deceive Shanks.
But I mean, he would have to change his hair.
I don't think it's that hard. I think the main tell would be the scar, but for some reason I don't think Luffy's smart enough to realize that. And the arm is the only thing where it's like that's a dead giveaway, right?
I think Zoro would notice.
Has Zoro met Shanks? No, he hasn't. Nobody's met Shanks except.
But
Luffy
he knows what he looks like.
Does he?
You've seen posters.
Has he?
I guarantee he's seen a poster of Shanks. I am confident he's seen a poster of Shanks. I feel like even though he hasn't met Shanks, I think Zoro has the intuition to know that this is not the guy that Luffy has talked about the entire time they've been together.
Does he?
Because the moment you meet Shamrock, you're gonna feel that cold feeling. Like he's not gonna give a fuck. He's not gonna embrace Luffy. He's not gonna be nice to Luffy. I have faith in Zoro. Zoro, you have to admit, even though you've been criticizing Zoro, Zoro's being a W vice captain right now.
I've never criticized him for being a W vice captain. I just hate the glaze he gets. I think he serves his purpose very effectively.
Fair enough. Do we think? What would you think of if Gunko's the one who fights Luffy? And is actually able to put work?
I think that'd make more sense. If we wanted to show Luffy on like a somewhat relative playing field, make it look good, he fights her. If you want to see Luffy get humbled, he fights Shamrock. For sure.
Nah, I'm with you. I feel like Gunko fighting them would be very interesting. Especially her fruit seems to be very versatile. But also, we didn't even mention this. Shamrock is here to basically enslave all of the giants.
Yeah.
That's bold. Yeah, that is some bold work. And they have not been preparing for war.
At all. They're studying, they're scholars, they got kids there. And he's basically telling Loki, he's like, look, you hate these people anyway. Forsake them. Become one of us. Just know they're going to be under us too.
Yeah. There's going to be it's kind of crazy. There's no way we're already getting the God Knights versus the Straw Hats. Like we're already about to hit. I mean, we're on Elbaf, so I guess it's not too surprising that something crazy like this is happening. But that's what it's looking like.
Do you think more are going to come?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of interested. Shamrock says he wants to contact Marijois, and I don't see why he'd want to do that unless it was for reinforcements of some kind.
What would be really crazy to me is like the God Knights are sent over here. And because if the God Knights are sent over here, like a good number, like if Fergoland is sent over here, I think they're fucked. I think Fergoland's getting built up to be like a freaking beast.
Yeah.
But I think if they send more God Knights, I don't think the Straw Hats And the fact that he said Marie too means that it's probably only God Knights. It's not any Marines.
Yeah, because he's like, let's change tactics. Contact Marie Joie. What tactics we changing, homie? So you waterboarded him? That didn't work. What's the next tactic? Like,
Complete invasion. Also, how did they get here? That's another part of it.
I'm glad you pointed it out because I was thinking it just now when we saw because they teleported directly into the castle, right? The only time we see that teleportation work, Saint J. Garcia Saturn had to be present in order for the rest of the rest of the elders to appear. Garcia Saturn had to be there, and he kind of made the transmutation circles for them. What if there's some sort of mole? I'm still thinking it's Ja Rule. What if there's some sort of mole within the Elbaf kingdom itself, outside of Loki, that's kind of conspiring with them on the low? Because for them to teleport directly into the castle that's so conveniently been vacated 14 years, that is all chained up and holed up, how would they know to go there? How do they get there? Can they teleport anywhere they want? How does this ability work? And you also mentioned it. I'm glad you mentioned their arrival because it brings me back to this too. At the end of the first half of the chapter, the two giants that were beaten by Gunko and Shamrock are actually going to be having a conversation with Luffy and company next chapter. Luffy finds their bodies, and that's when it cuts to the underworld. So we're going to kind of get some insight that there's two invaders now, and Luffy and all the other giants are going to basically be on high alert and have knowledge that they're there. So this clash together is probably going to happen a lot faster than we think it's going to happen.
Which I'm all up for. I do think there's a possibility a mole. I think Ja Rule's a good one. I said this when I did the One Piece review when we met Jaguar Saul's assistant. I just said she looks sus. I was like, she looks sus, bro. I'm gonna say she's the mole. I'm just throwing it out there. She just looks sus right off rip. I don't know. I think it's her design. I have no other inclination. Just something about that design just looks sus to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say she's a traitor the moment I met her. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what stocks are getting kind of put out there. But yeah, someone had to do, and that teleportation technique is very interesting in itself. Being able to utilize it to teleport people in any given situation. But yeah, this battle is about to be interesting. So, do we think this is going to about to be a big war?
Yeah. Last week on our live stream, once again, Tuesdays at 9, I did say I think this event, if we don't get an actual full-fledged God Valley or something of that nature, this is going to be our God Valley. And I think more people are pulling up to this place other than God's Knights. I got some stock and a couple of people making an appearance here that people might not be expecting.
Other than some predictions, because we can definitely predict a lot of people. I'm gonna instead ask, who do you want to show up? Who is the person that not needs to be here, but you really want to be here for X, Y, and Z reason?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard.
And let me tell you why. Blackbeard always shows up when the opportunity is most opportune. And it's to gain something, right? We don't know the nature of how how Blackbeard can take devil fruits. If there's any fruit that I could see him being interested, and I haven't even seen it in action yet, it would have to be Loki's. There's something there where I feel like, because we all know Blackbeard's not some hockey specialist. I don't think Quake and the Darkness fruit are enough. Especially with Kaido reinforcing how strong hockey is. He would either need to have hockey himself or another devil fruit that circumvents all of that. I think, and this also goes with my prediction. I think this conflict is going to be large, right? It'll be the perfect time to show up at the end and kind of reap the spoils, right? Whether it's capturing someone, whether it's beating someone, whatever the case may be, there's a lot to gain from him showing up right now. And there's a lot of ways he can use that leverage. He has Saturn's former appearance. There's a lot going on between him and now the Celestial Dragons that I feel that he can use to gain. He's one of my highest people I have coming. I think he's going to make an appearance. If not him, somebody from his crew. Because he's very intel knowledge. That's his mo. Uh, I can't think he can have Lafitte come. We saw Lafitte he was able to infiltrate Marine HQ way back in like chapter 200. I think that guy can be anywhere and get intel. But I think in some way, shape, or form, Blackbeard's going to capitalize off of it. He has
I
to.
can see that happen. For me, other than I feel like Shanks or Big Mom, which I mean, there are so many ties to them being here right now. I'm gonna throw out the limb, especially since the God Knights are involved. I feel like they can pull a trigger when we send the Revolutionary Army to Elbath. I think for the most part, in the situation, like they did what they're doing. They're doing what they're doing in terms of like starving the Celestials and all that stuff, and making it very difficult on them. They did the invasion to retrieve people, of course, but I do think now that we know the God Knights are such a legitimate threat, I feel like Monkey the Dragon should have realized that we got to start combating them and be able to put up a fight. Now, there's no logically, strategically, there's actually no reason for them being here in Elbath, but I would find it interesting when you realize that the leader of the God Knights is here, or maybe he finds out the leader of the God Knights is here. Because I feel like him and Jaguar are cool, right? Saul?
Dragon and Jaguar?
Yeah.
I think.
Did they meet at Eke with Vegapunk after everything happened? Were they both there at the same time?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess the only gateway is Robin at this point then. I just think it would be interesting for Dragon to take advantage of the situation and try to take out the leader of the God Knights. But that's more of a fantasy thing because we are all waiting for Dragon and Luffy to meet. It doesn't necessarily mean it needs to happen here, but it'll be interesting to see.
I got one more who I think is going to show up, and this is an over-under for you as well.
Okay.
The dream never dies, people. I'm standing 10 toes. Captain Kidd?
Oh, okay. All right.
Captain Kidd will be back. You heard it first. Over or under Riddell, Captain Kidd comes back.
To this arc or the story?
To this arc.
Under. He's not coming in. Hell no.
In theory, he just got beat right at the coast. What if he washes up on a beach?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, we already got our version of Kid, and that's Loki. We don't need another wild card that is useless kid over here in the story, bro. But that'll be interesting to see. But I do think the Straw Hats, I mean, I feel like what probably will be great to see, though, is Luffy's Grand Fleet showing up. Harjin's here.
That'd be dope.
They're gonna need the backup. I don't think the Straw Hats will be able to take, like, depending on how much God Knights show up. I don't think the Straw Hats and the Giants will be able to fight against the God Knights.
So that's actually interesting you brought that up. It can't be Leo and the ones from the I forgot what the army's called, but I think it's the Chinjiao army. It's not going to be them because they were recently at Reverie. We know how that all went down. They're probably in holding or they're probably back home. So it would have to be Cavendish, who I'd love to see again. That's the guy with the multiple personalities when he goes to sleep.
Yeah, he'd be great to see.
It'd be Cavendish. It would be Bartholomew, which I think he's actually disposed of too because of Shanks.
The ship blew up. The fact that Shanks, because I'm assuming there's no way because they made it sound like Shanks was just saw Loki, like it wasn't too long ago. So he might be relatively close to Elbath.
He could be. I want to know how Shanks can travel so fast. Can he teleport like the God's Knights?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. There might be maybe this is a Fergoland secret. Teleportation. Maybe. I can see that happening. Yeah, they're definitely gonna need backup. And then I pulled up the panel. Let's see if we can get any subtle hint. And I think we can gain a lot from this conversation now. First things first, Whitebeard saying, "When I look at your face, it makes my scars ache. The scars I got from him in bold."
Here's my problem. Or it's not really my problem because I'm actually all for this. But I'm in the One Piece Reddit trenches where everybody's talking about all of this stuff. You know, we've been talking about it since Wednesday when the summaries and everything came out. The timeline of the scar that he's referring to, he doesn't have it after God's Valley. So it would mean he would have had to at some point in time see Garling again and fight.
Or fight Shamrock.
If Shamrock did that to my boy, I'm mad. There's no way.
Shamrock's supposed to be him.
There's
bro.
no way. There's no way.
Hey.
Riddell, is Shanks stronger than Prime Whitebeard, you think?
He doesn't have to be stronger to get the scar.
No. Okay, everything I love will be in jeopardy if Whitebeard was scarred. It would have to be in his prime.
Shanks lost his arm to a sea monster.
But that was that was intentional. That's nasty. That was Lonnie level. That was nasty. That was nasty.
Also, Shanks got a scar to Blackbeard.
But we know Blackbeard's a dog, though.
Not early Blackbeard.
No, Shanks cleared it up.
When did he say he got the scar?
I think it's literally after this. He said, I got this from Blackbeard, and Blackbeard didn't catch me off guard or pull any trickery. We were fighting.
Yeah, but no, even that version of Blackbeard is
he
not
was a dog.
But that's like a little bit higher level than Ace giving a scar, and that's still nowhere close to Shanks.
No, it's not. No. You put in Blackbeard and Ace in the same sentence? You're
a higher, like a little bit higher. Like it's like, so Ace is here, Blackbeard is like here, Shanks is still like all the way up here. Like Blackbeard's not him yet.
Nah. I think Shanks is here. I think Blackbeard's here.
Ace that version of Blackbeard?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I don't know about
if that version of Blackbeard was able to scar Shanks with no trickery, no underhanded tactics, he has to be right here.
Oh, Shanks said it. You get caught off guard, you know.
But Shanks said he didn't. He explicitly says he was not caught off guard.
I don't know, man. But I mean, all right, even if we were to say that, even if Blackbeard is beat right here, that means Whitebeard could be here, Shamrock could be right here.
That's nasty.
That's what that means.
Because it don't even feel right. Because then that means Roger's right here, Whitebeard's right here, and Shamrock's right here. That's nasty. That doesn't feel right. That doesn't sit right with the spirit. And that means Mihawk is above all of them, all the way up here.
Hey, shout out Mihawk, bro. But okay, so this, even regardless, whether it's Shamrock or Ferguland, whether Oda retcon the timeline, because sometimes he does do that.
Sure.
This confirms that this, when he said him, there was see, that's why you got to notice these bold. These bold letters, they mean so much.
Always.
They mean so much, bro. Always pay attention to them bold letters, bro. Him, come on now. Oda have been planting the seeds. There's probably someone out there that says he said him. It must mean someone that looks like someone probably said it at some point.
Maybe.
Man. I wonder if they said any more. I'm looking through it. Other than the scars, it doesn't look like he's making any other points in this chapter. They're just kind of talking about everything else. Many people left who remember the ocean the way it used to be. He said 22 years have passed. What do you expect? What is he referring to here?
Show me.
Okay. So he said they're talking. Sailed around the world. A group always tastes best. It's not bad. Roger, Garp, Sengoku, there aren't many people left who remember the ocean the way it used to be. 22 years have passed. What do you expect?
Maybe he's just talking about the old regime. But I have the timeline pulled up. What happened 22 years ago? Let's see.
Probably the
22.
last time they met.
That could be it, because 22 years ago, nothing crazy happened. Oh wait. So 22 years ago, Ace was born. Sabo was born. A lot of people were born. Saul takes the books from O'Hara to Elbaf. Kuma protests against the king in his country. Shiki escapes from Impel Down. Shanks first meets Yasop. So this is kind of when Shanks' career kind of starts. And O'Hara happened. So this was before Admiral Akainu, before Admiral Aokiji. I think he's just talking about the old regime.
I'm also looking at this too, kind of off topic. He's talking about the duel. He said he's talking about Roger's, death and everything. And he talks about in the same breath, your duel with Hawkeye is still fresh in my memory. But he's referring to him remembering him 22 years ago. So what are we saying
Not that
that
long
they
ago.
fought 22 years ago?
Nah, not that long ago.
Now I wonder what he's referring to. To be honest.
Don't happen to blink of an eye. There aren't many who speak of the legend anymore. The legend anymore. Your duel with Hawkeye. The legend. Bro, they gotta stop glazing. I don't want to see no type of Hawkeye glaze, because the way we both speak English. He's saying the legend, and then he's describing the legend, which is a duel between Mihawk and Shanks. It doesn't. If Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, wow, this is turning into Mihawk hate. I'm sorry to the viewers, but if Mihawk is the strongest swordsman, that means he'd have to be stronger than Shamrock. He'd have to be stronger than Roger. He'd have to be stronger than Shanks. He'd have to be stronger than Garland because he uses a sword. He'd have to be stronger than Nasjuro, the other elder, because he uses a sword. It doesn't make sense.
Hey man. Respect that boy Mihawk. I don't. They also actually talk about Blackbeard in this chapter too.
Yeah,
And
that's what I mentioned the scar.
Yeah.
And here's I'm not going to share it, but here's what I found, because I was looking at when, obviously we say Whitebeard, the scar reminds me of him. When he meets Roger, remember, before Roger went to go get executed and turn himself in, he basically spoke to Whitebeard and told Whitebeard what the One Piece was. He told Whitebeard what it was, and when they're sitting down drinking the sake together, Whitebeard has no scars on his chest. He has no scars at that point in time either. And I believe Roger executed himself 8 years before the start of the story.
So 8 years ago.
No. 20 something years before the start of the story. Excuse me. But so at least at that time, when he learns of the One Piece, he's not scarred then. So sometime between after Roger died and Whitebeard obviously dying, he would have had to either encounter Garland or Shamrock in that period of time.
I wonder. Trying to think of reasons why he would encounter him.
There's technically 46 years. I think Roger died 50 years before the start of the story.
Oh, so he has plenty of time to fight.
Roger died 24 years before the start of the story. 24 years.
Okay, so if let's say I think it's fine to say then he probably still fought Prime Fergenland, who probably still looked like Shanks at that point.
Weird. Why?
That's the question. Why? Maybe he was reacting to Roger's death.
Maybe. Weird. Maybe Oda made a mistake.
Yeah, it's possible he could have wrecked on the timeline. That's possible too.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that's all we got for today's chapter. It went out over because One Piece. There's a lot to talk about. Chapter 1137, and we had to connect some pieces. We went back to chapter 434. Now we realize who Whitebeard was talking about when he said him. We went back to chapter 937, and we got to see the Shamrock, his first appearance. One Piece loves to tie so many things, and there's no break. So we'll be back next week.
That's the beauty of it all. No break, thank God.
Facts. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll try to do this every Sunday around 1 p.m. EST after the official chapters come out. And with that said, y'all have a good one. Like and subscribe. Take care and peace.
Peace.